Welcome to North Texas Networkers, a show about connecting people across the DFW Metroplex. As realtors, we get the opportunity to meet and work with a variety of interesting people.
And this is our chance to introduce you to them. Join us as we talk with our community influencers, share their inspiring stories, and reveal how and why they shape our local communities.
I'm your host, Caralee Gurney.
And I'm your co-host, Stacy Reevely.
Thank you for joining us. Good morning. It's Caralee and Stacy with North Texas Networkers. Welcome. We're so glad to have you today. First, I want to thank our good friend Craig Schrank with Willow Bend Mortgage for supporting our show and helping us get it going this year. We're having so much fun with all of our guests.
For sure.
Welcome, Stacy.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Welcome, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. First, I want to welcome Susan for being with us. She is going to be a very interesting guest today. I'm not sure. She's so talented. She's an artist. She's an event planner. She's an interior designer of 35 years, if I'm not mistaken.
That's
She's worked in the medical field. She's gone to school. She's had a green card.
Worked for Merrill Lynch.
The list goes on, but let's get started because, first of all, Susan is just one of our really good friends, and we're excited just to chit-chat.
We're so glad you're here with us today. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about you, where you're from originally, and how you ended up in Plano, Texas.
Okay. Well, I guess it's about 21 years ago, my husband was headhunted. We lived just outside of Toronto in a town called Oakville, and he was in telecommunications. So he was headhunted for a company here. And so we moved down here. And then while we lived in Dallas, and then after about 3 years, we moved to Pleasanton, California, still in the same business. And then 3 years there, we moved to Plano, Texas. And that's where we've been ever since and love being here in Plano.
And I understand that was quite a journey to get here.
It was quite a journey to get here because I'm Canadian. My husband's Canadian. And so when he got headhunted, he came down on a visa. And the process with different visas and immigration, and this is back when immigration supposedly was a little bit easier than it is today. It was very confusing for us with the different types of visas that there are, and when one expires, you've got to apply for another. In the meantime, we applied for a green card, and 12 years later, we got a green card. And I think as of a few months ago now, you have to have your green card is renewable every 10 years, and you have to have it for 5 before you can go for citizenship. So we're right there now.
That's great. Very good. So did you start out in interior design while you were still in Canada, or how did you get into that business?
I went to college and did business and hated every minute of it and was always down like in the guidance area going, I want to be an interior designer. And the only place at that time was in Toronto, and I'm the oldest of 6, and they're like bang, 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 bang.
You mean
as far as
kids being
siblings,
banged out, or okay.
Yeah, as siblings. The next year another one was going to college. The next year, so I never asked my parents to go to Toronto because I thought it would be too expensive for them, right? So I just decided to do it on my own. My mom would say that when I was 6 and they were painting a room, I'd say, no. They got that all wrong. You got to get a different color. Like I've totally been interested in for as long as I can remember. Okay.
Tell us how you got, what finally got you there?
What do you mean?
To the interior design, because you've gone...
in the interior design. So I really started off, so this would be like about 30 some odd years ago, and my husband traveled all the time for business. I have 3 children, and so once I put the kids to bed, I started doing floral design, and then and doing some painting at that time. And then I'd have a big show at my house. And then people started hiring because they liked the look of my house. Then people started hiring. And I never knew anybody was doing this. I don't think there was very many people at that time doing this, because this is about 35 years ago, and I love Christmas, so I started decorating homes for Christmas. And with working moms and everything now, like almost every time I did a house, they'd come home and everybody burst out crying because their house is done. They're so happy, and there's so many things going on at that time of year. So it's just such a relief. So I've been doing that for a long time. I'm gonna sort of slow that one down because it's so concentrated. Everybody wants it at once, and I don't really like to repeat it. I like to create it, but I don't like to keep going year after year doing the same thing.
So you don't want Stacy and I to add to your list this year?
I will if you want me to create. Yeah.
We have some on the feed right now.
Yeah.
There's
a couple years ago I did.
There's one.
Okay.
Tell us about this.
So when I moved down to Dallas, we had friends that lived here.
It's pretty.
And this is out of a book called Tablescapes by Kimberly Schlegel Whitman. And I've known Kim since she was about 2 years old. And she asked me if I could help her on a few things for several of her books. So her and I together did some of these settings that you see on the screen.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, so I did the kumquat topiary, and I did the lemons with the flowers. So that was for a breakfast scene. I did that as Christmas with Tiffany plates, and that's Thanksgiving. That turned out really great. I just got gourds and cobs of corn and sprayed them all silver, and we had all silver on the table. It turned out great. This was like a butterfly tea I did.
Beautiful.
That was at the Dallas Country Club. When they do the gamma, the sorority. I can't
one of the
remember.
fundraisers that they do.
So I did that about 4 or 5 times, but that's what that picture's from. And that one as well. I love that pattern.
Oh, I do too.
Beautiful work. So what is the hardest room to decorate, and why is it so difficult?
The hardest room.
Because I will tell you that it's people like me you exist, because I have no decorating skills whatsoever. So for me, all the rooms are hard to decorate.
For me, the dining room is hard.
The dining room is hard? What do you think? What's the hardest?
I don't really, it's interesting because people always say to me, what's your style? It isn't my style, it's your style.
Yeah.
It's what you like. So, there are some decorators that it's their work because it's kind of the same elements. Well, I do ranches, beach houses, mountain homes, city, all over the place, modern, traditional, transitional. So you have to see what your client likes. And so from there, I've really never really found any room once I got going.
So it's just easy for you.
Yeah, kind of, for the most part.
That's not fair.
But I have to say, every time I start a project, I think, I don't know if I can do this. And that's been going on for 35 years. I go, I don't know if I can do it. But
what's the most extreme job you've done?
Well, one of I would say Beverly Hills about 16 years ago, because it was a modern house, renovated. It was, when we went and saw it, it had leaves blowing through it. It was a mess. The lot was beautiful, overlooked Catalina, next door neighbor Ringo Starr, and Jennifer Aniston. It's in a great neighborhood, but this house was a mess. Totally renovated this house, and it was at the beginning of when modern look was starting. So that was really interesting and challenging, because that was the first time I did one, and it turned out great. The client sold it a couple of years later and made about $4 million on it.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Are you still friends with your client?
I did another house for her as well. Yes. Yeah.
That's great.
Would now be a good time to see those before and after shots?
Yes.
All right.
If you've got the so this is This is a client who moved from 15,000 square feet to 6,200 square feet and wanted, so the before is the previous owner's furniture, and then my job was to figure out what we can bring over and what we needed to buy new. So there is that green cupboard. This was a little guest bath. And the client said, I want something totally that doesn't look like the rest of the house. When you open the door, it makes you smile. So it's all kisses and lipstick and the red lips on Marilyn Monroe and Audrey Hepburn.
That's cute.
This, well, pretty self-explanatory there, those ugly cupboards there in the before. And then we all went marble and whites in the new renovation. Changed the ceiling, changed the cupboards color, new draperies here, new chandelier. It turned out beautiful.
So is there ever a time where you think somebody makes a mistake that it just drives you crazy in their decorating? Is there something that people do that you're just like, that drives you crazy?
If people are always afraid to invite me to their house because they think I'm going to critique it, Stacy. Yeah. So
we have the same problem.
and I don't, like, unless I go and don't think about that. I only go I only say anything or notice anything if you want me to do stuff, right? Yeah. So not really.
That's interesting.
If they get things mixed up, like you have to sometimes move people around because they may like several different styles, but they don't really gel together. So you have to help with that.
Tie things.
Continuity.
Continuity. I mean, I like eclectic and all of that, but there still is an eye to make it right. Yeah.
Well, I know a lot of times we talk in real estate with clients about staging. So how is staging and decorating, what's the similarities and what's the differences, do you think?
We have this conversation a lot, so it'll be interesting to hear how you go about that.
Well, staging is, to me, mostly making it cleaner, and not cluttered for sale. It doesn't necessarily show the homeowner's personality.
Oh, yeah, makes sense.
And I always believe when I'm doing a home, I want that owner's personality to be shown. But when you do staging, it's just make it clean and simple so you can see the bones of the house more than
it almost purposefully takes the personality out of it.
Correct.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, get more light in, sometimes takes draperies down and that kind of thing.
So besides design, we've talked about artists. Tell us a little bit about your art.
So a few years back when I ended up moving to Pleasanton, California, I knew I probably wasn't going to be there for very long. So one of my gifts, I think, is I'm good with color. So I thought, well, maybe I'll try painting, right? And so I just started painting. I got a picture that I liked when we went to Carmel one day, and I just painted it, and it was Portofino, and it turned out pretty good. And to my surprise, all in oils. And so then I just had fun with it, and I just kept painting. And then I did start getting work there, and then people there started commissioning, and then it just kept going. Kept going.
I've tried to make flower arrangements, and I've also tried to paint. and neither one of them worked out for me.
No, I know. I mean, I didn't know if I could or not. And then it was probably about 8 years ago. I didn't tell anybody I was doing this. And I was the event planner for a big fundraiser in Southlake. And the chairman of the board for the charities asked me about my interior design, and I told him that I was doing some painting. And so he said, do one and donate it. So I did.
There's some.
Is this some of your painting here?
No, that is a child's bedroom that I did. That's a painting.
Oh, I love that.
And that's in Dallas. That's in London, England. That's my very first painting, Portofino.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah, all in oils.
Beautiful.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Very
you know, you've lived a lot of places. And interesting because you said London on there, but you also lived in Singapore. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting about you living in Singapore was your 3-day intro into being a part of the culture.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Right. Yes. Well, one of the things that, and they did it with our children as well. So for my husband, there's different protocols. He was marketing for Southeast Asia. So that's India to Tokyo and all in between. So, and each one of those cultures has different things that they, you know, like to get into Indonesia, you had to put money in your passport, right? To go in. You have to pay to get your tender read in most of those countries. And coming back to North America and explaining that, everybody goes, well, we don't do that. Well, then you don't do business in Asia. It's really interesting. Everybody is so different. One of the simplest things is your business card. Handing it with both hands is very important. If you just slip it over or throw it over a table, it's considered disrespectful. So yeah, there's all kinds of little idiosyncrasies, but you know, then the one thing that they told us all is you're going to see different foods, different things. So for instance, the main famous dish in Singapore is called fish head curry, and in a bowl comes the head of the fish in curry. And it kind of makes you feel faint at first. And the kids are going, no, let's just find a Pizza Hut, right? And then they scoop out the inside of the head. They offer you the eyes, which is a delicacy. And so the children were taught not to go like, oh my gosh, this is horrible or this is weird. They were taught to just go, oh my, this is different. and when they say that, we knew everybody was freaking out. Yeah.
What a great experience for your kids.
Oh, yeah.
That's
it was
amazing.
fantastic. They got to travel all over Asia and compete in sports in, you know, Bangkok, Jakarta, Australia, Nepal, all over the place. Yeah, it was wonderful.
That's great. My kids went to Colorado every summer. I mean,
That's an interesting trip, too. That's another story.
So you mentioned volunteer work and doing events. What all are you involved in volunteer-wise, or what is it that, you know, drives you on that?
Okay, so I've been a member of the Junior League for probably 28 years. I've belonged to 4 different leagues. And early in my late 20s, I zeroed in mostly to do my volunteer work for children and children's charities because they don't have a voice like other ones do. So I just felt that was a good choice for me. So through the different junior leagues I belonged to, I would get connected into where I wanted to do work. And so I guess it's about 7 years ago, I was on the advisory council at Children's Medical. And at that time, people didn't realize that we had Children's up in Plano, like everybody was still going downtown. So on this advisory council, we were trying to sort of brainstorm and come up with ideas of how we could get it known. So I said, well, let's do a luncheon. And of course, you suggest it, you do it.
Exactly.
And I said, no, but nobody else. So I got on that bandwagon, and I happened to be at a cocktail party a few weeks later, and my friend's husband was chairman of the board at JCPenney, and they said that they would come on board, and our first Legacy of Love through the Women's Auxiliary was born, and it was a sold-out event, over 500 people. In our first one, we brought in, I think it was around $170,000, and JCPenney was very generous and really helped us. And it was a hit. And we thought it was going to be sort of like a one-hit wonder because it was the 100-year anniversary of Children's. And
they wanted you to stay, huh?
Then it carried on. Lisa Raskin said, I'm going to do it this next year. Another junior league, and who was one of the people who started the auxiliary up in Plano. And it's still going to this day. So
it's funny how we all follow each other around.
It is. And I think now we've brought in well over $1 million over these years. So,
that's exciting.
Yeah, so that's really lovely. Yeah. And then children's advocacy of Collin County is a big one that I support as well.
You've done that for many years. I know you and I met there.
Yeah,
well, we decided it was 12 years ago.
Yeah, at least.
Long time ago.
Yes.
Great organization.
Yes.
So, along your journey, what do you think has been the most challenging thing that you've experienced?
Well, one of the challenging things was I was asked to go out to Montana to do a ranch. And they just had finished building it. And so I was going out for 2 to 3 weeks to furnish this big ranch. And when I got there, the owners were so excited. They picked out some things and had them delivered. And seriously...
Before you got there?
Yeah. And I walked in and thought, oh my gosh, the scale was all wrong. They were not good at all. And I thought, I got 3 weeks to spend here with them. How do I break the news to them? And then I thought, you know what? They brought me out here to make this right. So I sat them down, said, let's have a couple drinks, and said, everything you got here, which were some chairs and a couple sofas and a couple tables, and I for their great room, and I said, it's all got to go back. This isn't right.
Gosh, that's going to be a hard conversation.
And it is a hard conversation because you don't want to insult their taste.
Right. But you got to be honest
but,
about it.
But I said, I basically said it's not the right scale, which it wasn't. Mm-hmm. So different things like that. So, and that's a big mistake that a lot of people, they don't do the scale right. Yeah. And so they said, oh, okay. And then I go out every year and tweak things and do different things for them to this day. Yeah.
That's so much fun.
And they were thrilled. They saw the difference. They just didn't know, right?
Yeah. That would be me.
Yes. Exactly.
That would be me.
It's a common thing, especially with these high ceilings and different things, right?
Yeah, that's true. Interesting. Well, so you've had a lot of experiences, traveled a lot of different places. If somebody were to make your life into a movie, what actress would play you?
Meryl Streep.
There you go.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah.
Why Meryl Streep?
Because it may not look like it now, but when I was in my 30s, a lot of people thought I looked like her. And of course, look at her career. Yeah. I mean, she's a fantastic actress, so that's why I would pick her.
Very good.
Or Marilyn Monroe.
Well, we didn't say dead or alive. But dead or alive works.
Yeah.
Well, so what's next for Susan Spindler?
So what's next? Well, I'm doing a lot of painting, and I get a lot of joy from that. When people commission me to do, sometimes they just say, do something, or they show me something that they like, and then I sort of do my own interpretation. And so I just finished a really big piece a couple weeks ago. And I'm always nervous because are they going to like it? Is it going to be okay? And the client came and just couldn't stop crying. She was thrilled. So, that's so nice. And when you have clients, when they see their house and when they're finished with their house and they do the same thing, it brings you a lot of joy, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So I thought it was kind of interesting that you have a son who is a chef. Is he still doing that?
No, he's not. He's doing screenwriting right now.
Really?
He's working on 2 screenwriting, and he's his mentor is the screenwriter who wrote Hellboy, a movie.
I think I remember that.
Yeah. And so he has been advising him, and he said his script is one of the top 5 that he has ever read, and has no doubt it'll be produced. And so my son Andrew is now in his 6th rewrite on it, and we'll see what happens. But if it goes well, I'm his date for the Golden Globes.
Well, and I think you should be.
Anyone would want to be seen with
With their child.
with their. That's right.
Yes,
Mother at
absolutely.
the Golden Globes.
What's typical if he's on his 6th rewrite?
Right.
What's average?
Oh,
How many
well,
rewrites do people do?
He did like about 7 rewrites before he sent it to him. And then he sent him back with some suggestions and just how to fine tune how you write a screenplay a little bit better from what he learned. And now he's on a 6. I mean, these characters get in your head. You can imagine, just like an author, when they end a series, it's like saying goodbye to your good friends and stuff like
Well,
that.
I feel that way when I'm watching them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
true.
so quite a few times.
Yeah.
Very, very
Yeah,
neat.
I know. Another creative person he is.
Well, it sounds like you've got a family full of creativity.
Yeah.
And I love it that you're the big achiever in your family. We've got just a few minutes left. Do you want to share how you're the big achiever in the family? How you skated past medical school and into...
Yes, exactly. I know. Yes, I was in cancer research, really, in the University of Toronto, and with the top medical geneticists in Canada. Got a paper published with him. I mean, I've had some very different, and most people are going to think I'm not making it all up because they're so varied and weird. Then I worked for Merrill Lynch and did all their special events and things for their high-end clients and that kind of thing. Import, export, designed rugs. Yeah.
It's just amazing to learn more about you. I know Stacey and I have known you a long time and just always enjoy being around you.
Oh, you're sweet.
I didn't
Thank you.
add to your list that you're a comedian because you really are. Crack both of us up.
You're my favorite Facebook post every day.
Yes, I do
Follow
have a
Susan
huge
Spindler.
following. I do have a huge following, and people wake up to me or go to bed to me and say, "You just make." I only post anything that will make me laugh.
Yeah.
And
So can you think of one, before we go, can you think of one that's made most people laugh more than something else?
oh, gee, no, I can't actually. Sorry.
so many.
What was your thought
There's so-
today?
Well, I don't know. I just it
share
goes so.
them.
Yeah, I do so many. I can't really.
They're awesome.
But
I do
they
know that.
just do make
You are funny.
everybody.
smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well-
really, this was a serious one that I said a couple days ago. Does anybody know a personal trainer? And all my friends, it was for my husband. I wanted to get it for him for Father's Day. And my kids wanted to do that. And everybody's going, "You get a personal trainer?" And everybody was harassing me on my Facebook. What happened to my friend who likes happy hour? You know, and all this. It was hilarious.
That's amazing.
Thank you for being a part of our show today.
Oh,
and for
thank you
giving
for
us a
having me.
smile
This
for the
was
day.
most enjoyable.
I love getting to hear about all the different things that you're doing. I didn't know about the art, so
Yeah.
I've learned something new today as well. That's
I know.
amazing.
It's fun to have a
thank
friend
you.
on.
It is.
So
Thank you.
And before we go, again, I want to thank Craig Schrank, Vice President of Willowbend Mortgage, for sponsoring our podcast that we're enjoying doing this year. And we hope you'll join us next month in July on the third Tuesday at 11 a.m. We will have Romby Bryant and Javier Collins. They're both former NFL players, but with a twist. They're both really involved. In fact, Javier is the president and Romby is the vice president of the National Football League Association of Alumni. And it's amazing. Stacey and I had the opportunity to go to one of their meetings and learn just how different it is for a player after the NFL. So you'll learn more about that. Plus, they have a great charity they want to share with us. So again, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Susan.
Thank
I'm
you.
Caralee,
And I'm Stacy.
and we are your real estate professionals.
Thank you for joining us on North Texas Networkers.
Visit our website, mariposagroupdfw.com. That's MARIPOSA Group DFW.com for more information about the show and other resources. I'm Caralee,
And I'm Stacy.
and we are your real estate professionals.